Good morning from sacred space at Titania's realm. Hello, says Charlie. Hello. It's 10:29 a.m. on the 16th of November 2024. It's Saturday, so if you're Jewish and you're observant, unlike Mama T, this wild shamanic heathen witchy bitch, lapsed Jew, but still wild and still free and still in love with her gods and the ancestors that love her. So to my Jewish family, friends and community across the globe, Shabbat Shalom. Rest well, rest joyously in the ever-loving arms of the Ein Sof All, but not yet, babies. Your appointed time. It just came out wrong. It sounded like I'm telling you you're all going to die. Well, Mama's had her own life experience, I guess, in recent weeks, recalibrating and metamorphosing, with which Sybil Serpent coming to live with me for 12 days. It's very astonishing and was very symbolic of that metamorphosis. And my friend Brecky Tit in Amsterdam recognised it before I did, actually. She mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, and I kind of went, yeah, I do feel different. I feel more powerful than I've ever been in my life, which is kind of weird given that I'm equally as fragile as I've ever been in my life, ageing and living alone and reasonably dire poverty. But it's not really poverty because I survive and I get by and I manifest my greatest dreams. And I was thinking this morning, you know, how I keep whining, fetching daily about, if I had money, I'd have 4,000, or alternatively those amazing $8,000 boots. I'm joking about the boots, people. It's just I have trouble letting go of dreams sometimes. I have to realise that they're just dreams that potentially could be manifested if I had the means, but it's just a little bit like a carrot dangling out of reach, you know. But anyway, but it occurred to me that I've been kvetching about, I want to visit all the sacred sites and I want to travel all over the world and I want to stand on all the holy sacred grounds. I want to be at for example, the Hill of Tara, and where the fairy royalty, you know, traditionally were believed to live, and in Ireland. And I want to go to Newgrange, and I want to see Stonehenge, although my daughter says it's a disappointment. Well, bully for her. She got to see it. I didn't. It's all subjective, isn't it? I want to go to New York, to the city that never sleeps. I want to see Paris and maybe even go to Russia. I want to go to Germany. Why do I want to go to Germany exactly? It's not. I've been there when I was a child. I guess just to look around for, you know, ancestral sites where my family of origin used to live. But I usually don't aggrandise those bastards because they really did a number on me from infancy. So do I really want to go to Germany? But I guess it'd be nice to see, you know, maybe go on one of those cruises up and down the Rhine, and I'm sure there's lots of wonderful, maybe go to the Black Forest where my mother was sent during the war to keep her safe, and was built, you know, she was in charge of billeted out with civilian orphans. She was actually in charge of orphans at the age of 15. They put in a very responsible role as for a 15-year-old, but you see, my mother, bastard that she was, and no doubt still is, unless she's evolved by now, had a very high IQ. She didn't have an excellent education because, you know, Nazi Germany, the terrible war and the bombings interrupted all their education, but she had a brilliant mind. She was handpicked for that role. It's a bit astonishing that they would give that role to a 15-year-old girl. The only adult assistance she had was the cook who fed her so much, had extra rations given for the children, fed her so much on sweet, beautiful cakes that my mother got quite fat. And when my very abusive grandmother got to see her when my mother was on leave and sent back to Hamburg, she said to her, "You're far too fat. It's obscene. I'm taking you to Austria and all you're going to eat is black bread and black coffee." And she did. My grandmother took her to Austria and fed her on bread and coffee, while she herself had the most fabulous konditorei, which is the fabulous cakes and all the beautiful coffee shops back in wartime wartime Austria. So this is the kind of psychopath my grandmother was, right? "You too fat, I'll fucking start," which would never use the word fuck. My grandmother was a very, 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 very elegant and elitist woman. Would never swear like her progeny. That's my revenge too on those bastards, what they did to us. My mother as well. My mother was severely traumatised, not just from the war, but from the constant daily beatings, and I mean severe beatings with cast iron belt buckles from my crazy Berlin-born but of Polish heritage grandmother. Vicious she was. By the God, she was vicious to my mother. Well, that's the stories that got handed down to me. I mean, it's possible my mother might have exaggerated a little bit, but no, I used to see the look come over her face when she described the terror she felt coming home from school, you know, bruised and beaten and broken. So no, I don't think she lied about that. But yeah, she gets sent on leave home from, you know, the Schwarzwald, the Black Forest, the Harz Mountains, to come home and spend some time with her mother, and her mother starves her on black coffee and bread because she considers her fat. Fat is a feminist issue, by the way. I'm prone to being overweight because of my sister, my half sister used to sneer at me. "Oh my God, you're so much like our mother. You look like her, you have her body type, you walk like her, you have her legs." I don't have her nose. My mother had a much longer nose. You know, but she would just be so savage about the fact that my mother and I were prone to being overweight. Well, it's because we have sweet tooths and sweet teeth. And we love sweets and chocolates and cakes, and I'm rather fond of, you know, fried foods like hot chips and chicken schnitzels and burgers and oh dear God. Well, anyway, where was I going? How did I end up talking about my mother, my asshole mother, and my asshole grandmother? How did I flow into that? I'm not sure. So that wasn't the reason why I started filming this video this morning. It's I wanted to talk about Mama T, aka the Tanya, aka the psychedelic dreamer, aka Miss Five, danced with her alter egos, the band alter egos. But yeah, Mama T was out in full femme fatale, fiery, angelic, shamanic formation last night. It was a force to be reckoned with, and that's right, that's where I wanted to go with that, the metamorphosis. I was so fucking powerful last night. I was powerful last Friday night when I danced for Ramjet too. It was awesome. But I thought last Friday night was the best night I've had out in years, but no, Charlie, I think I superseded my own wildness last night, and it was awesome. And I was so joyful and happy to see that, you know, towards the end of the night where we've all built up so much powerful, positive, delightful energy. Oh, Charlie, not the cloaca on the camera again. That At one point I looked up and I could see Scott with his guitar dancing wildly, and everyone was having a wonderful time, you know, to their music, and it was just pure, utter magic. And I'm so in love with I'm just so in love with everything in my whole life right now. I honestly never thought that day would ever come in my whole lifetime. As I mentioned, cumulative trauma issues, including from my fucked up family of origin, surviving that horrific war, and all the intergenerational trauma and all the shit and putrescence and ugliness which I literally slough off in my wild mosh. It's very powerful and cathartic for me and necessary, you know. It's really quite wonderful. Anyway, so I got to the Brooklyn Standard early last night, deliberately, because I saw that Burst were playing, and I used to dance for Burst back in the day, 2014, 15, 2013, when I used to dance at that filthy rake den pub, Irish Murphy's. I know they all still play there, but they have contracts, like they have to play there. If I had my way, I'd shut that whole place down, but that's just my bitterness from the bad treatment, the horrifically bad treatment I received in early 2015. But anyway, I used to dance regularly for Burst, and they were so happy to see me, you know. It was delightful. I turned up in my purple corset and my big ball gown skirt, big like crinoline skirt. I had very flat shoes which didn't actually go with the outfit, but I wasn't going to cripple myself. I've had to accept that I have to wear more sensible shoes if I'm going to be dancing vigorously for hours and hours and mushing and throwing my whole body into some kind of cathartic, catalyzing crystallization or metamorphosing something I can't explain, but it's, as I said, pure magic. My magic, the musician's magic, the bartender's magic. Oh, Taylor. Oh, did he stir me up last night? Oh, he was so naughty. Being very naughty, Taylor. But we were laughing. We're good friends. We were laughing so much. It was delightful. Very sweet. Very sweet. He gets away with a little bit of mischief with the mama tea because he gets my sense of humour, and he's a sweet, sweet young man. And my beautiful Erin too was so sweet to me. I love you, Erin. I love you too, my Erin. And all the other staff, Adam the manager was lovely to me too, and Rose was busy, and they were all very busy, but I want you to know, I appreciate all of you. So it all adds to the vibe, you know, everyone's hard work and contributions. I'm so grateful that I have a safe place where I can just be me and, you know, cathartize, not cathartize as in have things inserted into your bladder. I had that happen to me. It was awful. I mean, what's the catharsizing? You know, the transmogrification of the magic. It's powerful and it's beautiful. There was a young couple at the table with me, you know, my infamous spot, and young man and young woman. Anyway, the young man was very charming and was dancing with his woman. I kept doing my own thing as I do. So I'm like that, just stay in my own lane, in my own zone. I'm there to do my performance art for and with the bands, in a voluntary basis, because as I said, I get the benefit from the wild dance and the catharsis, and whoever's around me sometimes gets the benefit of the energies that I bring in, or that, you know, we mindfully purge at times. Oh, Paulie was wonderful too last night. Sang so wonderfully. Just stood and looked at him in awe. Oh, that's right. I've gone around in a circle. So I arrived early and Woody from Burst came and stood behind me at the bar. Oh, hello, Woody. He said, oh, hello, Tanya. I said, you on your break? He said, no, I'm about to go back on. I said, oh, that's good. I just arrived, so I've timed it perfectly. He nodded. And when they finished their gig, which was before Alter Egos comes on at 11, Dale came, stood waiting, probably gathering up his bag or his equipment. And I'd gone to get another drink, so I came back with my drink and gave each other a hug. He said, I haven't seen you in a long time. I said, oh, honey, I'm here every Friday. He went, what? But of course, I don't normally come that much earlier, so I don't get to see them. So, yeah, it was a longer night than I normally have because I got there at 9:30 and it finished at 2. So basically, apart from breaks sitting down to rest, I danced from 9:30 till 2. But not the whole time because I had breaks. When the bands go on their break, I sit down and rest. But although I did get up and dance with the DJ as well a few times. So no, it was an extravaganza last night. It was extravaganza. It was fucking awesome. Yeah, anyway, so I was very happy about how everyone was kind to me and said hello and was appreciative that I was there. It's nice to feel valued, isn't it? Everyone wants to feel valued and cherished and appreciated. And as part of that scene and that I've been a member of, I hate to be a member of any club that will have me as a member. It's a Groucho Marx quote, but you know, that I've been participating in delightfully and joyously for 14 years. So it's nice to feel valued and wanted and respected and cared for. I get grumpy when I don't feel valued and cared. Well, everyone does, but I don't know. I went through part of my metamorphosis the last few weeks or months as I went kind of down, spiraling down into this weird fucking dark abyss, which happens with monotonous regular. It wasn't a breakdown either. It wasn't one of my breakdowns, but I don't know what it actually was, but I guess all the tension with all the upset over what's going on in America, worrying about our world and worrying about my place in the world and if I'm really wanted and if I'm just, you know, biding time until death but making a fool of myself. Well, but been doing that for 59 and a half years. But anyway, I'm all good with it is what I'm saying. Come up clutching something in my hands. It's invisible, you can't see it, but it's kind of a fucking holy grail because I've come back feeling, yeah, gifted in some way, like something's been, I don't know what it is exactly. Let's call it love, or let's call it honour, or let's call it growing back my own power and reclaiming my power again. And it's beautiful and it's, as I said earlier, it's magical and it's a bit fucking fierce, so it frightens the average uninitiated mainstream person. Others are fascinated, but they don't know actually what they're fascinated for, so there's this kind of anxiety or trepidation. Who is this woman? What does she represent? What she represents is the gods, truth, honour and integrity and courage, and big love handed to us by the multiverses. Sometimes I'm not always loving. I have to admit to that. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a saint or any kind of Christed, what's the word, ordained type figure. I'm just the Tanya trying to get through my life the best way I can with limited resources and my own mental health issues gifted to me by abusers. So there is that. But I'm coming out of it, I think. I think I'm finally, after decades, 3 decades of therapy, and my wild, fierce stance and saying no to everything that I could see was abusive and toxic. I'm coming out of it, and yeah, that's the catharsis, that's the metamorphosis, that's the fuck. It's like maybe I'm just high because I haven't had a lot of sleep. It's like nearly 11, and I only went to bed at about 4:30, and I only slept for 3 hours. So I have to think about it, people of Earth. But those of you that have been on this journey with me, some of you have known me for many, many years, especially people in the bands, have seen how hard I have fought with my dance alone to come back from the brink of my own death many, many times. So maybe this is just the last renaissance before I finally go into declension. I hope not, though, because my psychiatrist reckons I've got 30 more years in me. Oh, I was here an eternal optimist. I love you, Brian. You're a wonderful doctor. But it could happen. I'm starting to see that it could actually happen. You know, it's like, it's astonishing. So, yeah, so anyway, I went to tell you, so there was a young couple sitting at my table with me, and they observed. I liked them, actually. They didn't impose upon me, they just did their own dance and, played up to each other as young couples in love do. It's beautiful to watch, actually. I'd love to have that again in my life. Someone so madly in love with me, and we can be playful together, and carefree and affectionate and sweet, and mama tea. As old as I am now, and it's kind of ridiculous to dream that dream. So I just keep it alive. I just nurture it like the eternal flame that cannot be consumed by fire. Am I right? It's just an ideal I cleave to. And so they were a sweet couple, and the young man, she was a little bit more reticent and closed, and I didn't worry, because I had this Asian lady behind me who's, I think she's on the spectrum. She's very, very introverted and very closed. She's slowly warming up to me, but the reason why she's warming up to me is because I don't engage with her and I don't impose on her. I just give her a little nod and shy smile, and I just do my dance. And I don't impose on anyone. We've all got our stuff, and we've all got our way our brains are wired, and some of us are wired quite astonishingly, and Anyway, she's a nice woman. She was fine. She was fine. She was sort of behind me most of it. She left fairly early, but she was there with me for a few hours. And there was a group of men, and they asked her to take photos, and they were kind of trying to engage with me, and I just smiled nicely. Because I also have my own. I'm an ambivert. I can be very extroverted and expansive and in your fucking face to the point where it's almost confronting, or I can be very closed in too. So, I've got my own brain wiring, fucking years of trauma and abuse and near deaths. Honestly, it's ridiculous. But anyway, she was a very nice woman. But then I'm not sure what time she left. It must have been about midnight-ish. And then there was this other young couple. And as I said, the girlfriend was sort of watching me and smiling, but, we kept our distance from across the table. But then as the evening wore on, a young man came over and directly approached me, said, "Hello, how are you?" And he said, "I'm really impressed with how you said you hold your own here." And he said, "You look like an interesting person to get to know." And he was very engaging, actually. At one point he asked for my phone number, which I deemed a bit inappropriate since he's there with his girlfriend, right? But he probably just meant as a friendship thing. But I'm very reticent about giving strangers in clubs my phone number. They have to get to know me a little bit more than just a first off, encounter, because I'm just weird like that. Mind you, half the time you give them out your number and they don't follow through anyway because they're drunk. But he was a bit hurt. I know. I said, "If you want to see me, I'm here every Friday night." "Really?" he says. I said, "Yes, I dance for the other band, Ramjet, that play alternate nights, Friday nights." I said, "And I dance for Alter Ego, so, I'm nearly always here. Yes, I'm sick, or just can't push myself out that night if I'm going to go in some weird mental aberration, which happens from time to time." To be fair, I wasn't sure if I was going to be dancing last night. Isn't that weird? The nights when I'm not sure whether to go and do my wild dance are often the best nights I ever have. And the nights when I'm really excited and positive and really supercharged can fall quite flat. It's odd how that happens. But anyway, it was wonderful, wonderful night. Thank you to everyone who provides that safe, beautiful space for everyone, including me, little old me. My goddess, it's amazing. Anyway, so young Josh, as I said, was chatting to me. He said, "I'm here with my girlfriend and we've been dating for 6 months." And I said, so we were talking for a while and she's just sitting quietly. I said, "I think you should introduce me to your girlfriend. That would be the polite thing to do." I think he just completely almost forgot his manners or something. Anyway, he did introduce me to her. I made sure of that. Especially couples, you've got to be so careful. You really have to ride this very fine line, make sure everyone understands that I'm not on the mate after their man and there's something weird happening. And because I don't do that, I don't behave like that. Anyway, she understood. She was a nice woman. Hannah was her name. So after we introduced and we were dancing all together, and he was a very nice man. I was very impressed with him. He said to me, in some ways he was a little bit bad. It came out with something that was a little bit too sexual, so I don't want to hear about that, I said. Nip that in the bud a bit. But anyway, I won't say what because privacy issues. But he was a nice young man. He really was. He had my back. And because of that, he will forever be a friend of mine. You have my back. You demonstrate that. You, sir, are a friend. Anyway, but we were talking earlier when he introduced himself and he said to me, "How old are you?" I said, "Oh, honey," I said, "I'm really old." He said, "How old?" I said, "I'm old enough to be your mother." He said, "You can't possibly." He was very sweet. I think he actually believed that. Well, I look good with all the makeup plastered all over my face. It can be a bit illusory. I can look a bit younger, especially under the lights and the club and the artificial strobe lights. Makes me look a little bit good, darlings. Anyway, he said to me, he said, "You can't possibly be old enough to be my mother." He wasn't flirting, he was serious. I looked at him, I said, "How old are you?" I said, "Young man." He said, "I'm 39 and a half. I said, "Well, there you are. I was right. I'm old enough to be your mother." "What?" he says. I said, well, my daughter just turned 39, so she's your age. I said, I could be shaking hands with your mother going, oh my God, my vagina hurts. After you've just given birth, you understand. And he was like, oh my goodness. He said, that would be so weird. And I was laughing about it. And he says, oh, I really like you. I said, yes, well, just remember, I'm old enough to be your mummy. Anyway, he was a sweetheart. And so towards the end of the night, when I'm in my full zone, doing a full tribal 360-degree mosh, which I know I'm not supposed to do, but I've reclaimed my power, and no one fucks with the Tanya, by the way, babies. I love you all, and I respected your direction for a long time, but now it's back, babies. I don't do it the whole time, though, because it does pinch the neck muscles in my neck. But anyway, I was doing my full manifestation one wash, and this guy in my vintage decided up beside me and gave me this sleazy smile. The smile went like this. I had immediately rivers of ick washing down over me. Look, he might be a very nice man, and if I met him under other circumstances, you know, if he'd invited me for a coffee or dinner or been fucking normal, you know, might have been fine. But if Mama T takes a look at you and she instantaneously gets the ick factor feels like someone's poured a whole thing of slime all over you, and I just feel like I have to shed my fucking skin like the wood snake I am. And I have to hide. I don't do that face to kind of hide that I feel icky. I just go. Anyway, so non-verbally I let doofus know I wasn't interested, right? I was in the zone, manifesting my mosh. And he wouldn't get the hint. So I did my beside me creating space. He didn't get too close to me, to be fair. I was just letting him know, don't invade my space. Anyway, next thing I know, young Josh comes up beside me, standing beside me, and he just leans into the guy. I don't know what he said to him, but they stood talking for a while. So I reached up, put my hand on Josh's shoulder. I said, thank you, Josh, for saving me. He said, Hannah told me. I said, Hannah did? He said, yes. She sent me over. She could see that he was creepy. I went, well, thank you to Hannah. So anyway, I gave him a big kiss on his cheek. A big kiss. I said, for that you get a kiss. Right on the cheek. And he was so thrilled, like, Mummy gave him a kissy. Oh, but I'm not his mother, still. I miss having a family. I think that's part of this manifestation of the mama too that comes out from time to time. But anyway, I gave him a kiss. I said, thank you for having my back. Josh, I appreciate that. That guy was not getting the hint that I was not interested. Any idiot could see that I'm in my full performance art dance. Like, why would I be wanting to be hit on in that moment? Honestly, some people are idiotic. Or is it that they're idiotic or they're just drunk? Or is it both? One can never tell. So anyway, and he said, no, Hannah sent me over immediately to protect you. Pardon me. So I went over to Hannah. I said, Hannah, I gave your man a big kiss on the cheek for protecting me, and I really appreciate it, by the way, because when I'm in my zone, you know, that's when things can go awry, and I'm not always conscious of it. So thank you for having my back. I said, I'm an equal opportunity woman, so I'm going to give you a big kiss on the cheek too, which I did. And she was thrilled too. We were all so happy and in love with each other. It was just beautiful. Really beautiful. Really astonishingly beautiful. And she said, oh no, I saw him. I knew. She said, I knew instantly he was moving in on you. And she said, and I saw you go, and she said, no means no. I went, exactly, no means no. She said, if they don't take no for an answer from me, usually they keep it up, can lead to me losing my shit completely. So I'm glad that you had my back, darling. I said, I really, really appreciate that, because it's not good for me to lose my temper or get agitated when I'm trying to actually enjoy and manifest my darts. She said, no, I could see that you were doing your thing, and he was impeding on you. And she said, that's why I sent Josh over immediately. I said, thank you, darling. They were a lovely couple. I hope they come again. So, as friends in the club, it doesn't have to be, anything. He did ask for my phone number, but it doesn't have to be a deep friendship outside of the club. The club thing. I'm very cautious about who I invite to be intimate, close friends, because trauma issues and long histories of things getting toxic and weird. So, but anyway, they were indeed a lovely couple. So, my handsome, talented men, plural, stood and whispered in each other's ear, and then they played Zombie, because they know Mama T would go completely wild, especially when I'm already amped up, am I right? So yes, I did my full performance up to Zombie, and that too was stimulating and powerful and gracious, and an acknowledgement of my spirit. So I actually blew kisses, and Scott's just like, what? Because I don't normally blow kisses to them, but when you play my song for me and you give me that avenue to let out ancient traumas and stress and horror and fucking awfulness, I can only but blow kisses to you. Paulie gets it. Paulie's just smiling, standing and smiling, singing. He gets it. Love you too, Paulie. And Luke. And they didn't play that god-awful fucking audio overlay that upsets me. I noticed that too, so thank you for respecting that boundary too. I guess you can't do it all the time. It's part of your performance, but thank you for giving me a night without that triggering, because that's not pleasant when that happens. But anyway, so I'm very grateful for a wonderful night. And anyway, at the end of the night, I leave. They played, after Zombie, they played 3 more quite heavy songs, and still manifested to those as well, although I was quite depleted after the intense energy I put into Zombie. I carried on to the end. So the band finishes. I did my characteristic Irish goodbye, which is go without saying goodbye, because we'd all said hello to each other during the course of the night, and we were having our non-verbal engagements, just various songs, and it's actually quite potent and powerful. And so I do my Irish goodbye. I'd said goodbye to Josh, but I think Hannah must have been in the ladies or elsewhere. So I'd actually said goodbye to Josh, and I said, thank you so much for having my back, Josh. And I said, I hope to see you again. He said, oh, well, I have access to my children every other alternate week, so it'll be alternate weeks. And when I have time, I said, no, don't sweat it. I said, when you come next time, we'll dance again. I said, I'll remember your face. I probably won't remember your names. I said, but I'll 9 times out of 10 remember your face, although my memory's getting a bit flubbery even with faces now. Sometimes I can stand next to someone and not fucking recognise them, and I know them well. It's getting a bit concerning, to be honest. So if I ever do that to you, say something. Don't take offence. Just say, hey, it's me. You know, because sometimes I'm in psychedelic dreams world, or I'm lost in my own headspace. And I'm not a snob, and I don't shun people unless you're an enemy of mine. Then consider yourself fucking shunned. But, you know, if you're an acquaintance and you know me reasonably well, and I don't recognise you, please say, hey, Tanya, you know, bring me back to planet Earth. Anyway, so, but I thanked Josh, and I left, and I stood in front of the aircon, blowing all the cold air outside the club, right outside. They need to fix that system, because all the cold air just gets sent out the front door. And anyway, it was cool enough in the club, but it's just a waste of how it all blows out. I wonder what they could do about that. It's the way it's kind of designed. Anyway, but I stood in the vent, you know, I stood in front of the vent as I go up the stairs, and I was tempted to lift my crinoline skirt up, but I thought that would be unladylike, crass. But I just stood there feeling the cool for a little bit before I went out into the street. And I I left the club, and as I'm leaving the club, I hear a voice yelling out, Tanya, Tanya. And I'm like, who's calling Tanya? And Hannah comes running out, all excited. I wanted to say goodbye to you. I said, I said goodbye to Josh. I said, you weren't there. And I went, she says, I know. She said, but I want to say goodbye to you. I said, thank you for a wonderful night and for having my back. I said, I really appreciate that. It was lovely of you. I said, I sent Josh to go and find you, I said, because at the end of the night, it's the 3 a.m. fuckfest. They all turn into animals. And I said, round between 2 to 3. I said, what's the time now? She said, 2 o'clock. I went, I'm out of here. She just looked at me. And I said, you just stay safe, my darling, and thank you for protecting me when there was some, you know, some awkwardness. Some man being overly enthusiastic. He hadn't actually done anything wrong per se, but he just wasn't hearing my non-verbal cues, right? Choosing not to hear it. So anyway, off I went out into the street. I parked in the Maya Centre. It's fucking $11, but $11 is better than being on the bus for 50 cents and being followed off the bus, am I right? I decided. You know, if I haven't got the money at all, if I'm really broke that week, I'll have to take the bus. But I had money. I had enough money, so it was cool. It was all cool. So, but it's the long walk when you're extremely exhausted to the uptown centre from the club. It's a 10-minute walk. That walk can feel like fucking hell when you're exhausted. But I was grateful because I didn't get any weirdos follow me or anyone try and, you know, accompany me and just let me go on my own steam, shuffle, my old lady shuffle, kick back in as soon as I leave the club. The magic is over and the music's over. I return to old lady-itis. So there was that. I smoked a cigar on the way, which was pleasant. I enjoyed that. I better not get into that habit though, because that's 3 cigars I've had in the last 6 weeks, and I'm a non-smoker. So believe it or not, those 3 cigars is a lot. I tell you what though, I kind of needed it just to chill the fuck down after the wild dance and just to even out a little bit and just be chilled as I'm walking to the uptown car park building, Charlie. You don't know what a car park building is, do you, Charlie? You've never been in Mama T's car, never mind in a car park. Yes, you is a lovely birdie. So, lovely birdie just shit on me, as she does. Lovely birdie, shitty poo bum. So yes, I wanted to read some more stories from Rembrandt's hat. Oh my goodness, Joe, there's a big poopy here I didn't even see. What have you been doing? You've been so busy while I was talking to the people of Earth. The people of Earth and all interdimensional entities, all sentient beings. Right, so yeah, I wanted to read some more of this. We're 45 minutes in with me just talking about my post-dance debrief. But yes, I had the most wonderful time last night, and having that young couple being so sweet to me, it was delightful. They were sweet and affectionate and kind, and I said, thank you so much for your kindness towards me and your support of me. I really appreciate it. And because it can be, you know, a bit alienating. I alienate myself with my weird ambivert ways, by the way, keeping people at arm's length. But they were very, and she even ran after me, Hannah, so they were very sweet to me and heartfelt and genuine and enthusiastic. And yeah, I'm very, very impressed with that young couple. So sometimes you just meet lovely people out in the world, and they're a reminder that there are good, kind people out there who don't have any fucking nasty, hidden agendas, who are just joyous, and that allows the magic to happen, people. Just saying. So, we'll read the first story in the book. He started out with two quotes. And an old white horse galloped away in the meadow. T.S. Eliot. What we want is short, cheerful stories. James T. Fields to Henry James. So actually, I've found this all very soul nourishing and inspiring, and I'm on the brink of maybe writing some more stories myself instead of my journaling and my debriefing and turning them into actual stories. But I have to be careful with that because I always fear threats of defamation, because some malfeasant, dirty motherfucker did that to me in 2015 because they can't handle the truth. And although I didn't know names and they didn't have a leg to stand on, they managed to threaten me for 2 months, which all that stress along with all the other concomitant stressors led to my suicide attempt. So I want to write beautiful, uplifting, inspiring, humanistic stories of hope and joy and delight and excitement, sometimes love and romance, even sometimes ghost, whatever comes through my brain channel through the muse, am I right? But I have this fear of success and fear of failure. So it happens when it happens. This is inspiring me, reading these wonderful stories from very accomplished authors, to pull my finger out and create more and be more. And it's part of my metamorphosis, this reminder of I have my own genius and brilliance that I tamped down out of ancient, malfeasant, evil, oppressive traumas. And when I finally blow that fucking lid off, people, who knows what I might yet achieve and what astonishing things I might be able to look back and go, wow. I actually reviewed a video of mine from the 1st of October, before I made this video. I don't know why I was drawn to review that video, but I saw, oh that's right, I saw there were 57 likes. But that's a lot of likes on that video. What did I say that everybody liked? No, not likes, sorry, I apologise. 57 views. When I get a lot of views on a video, I sometimes get curious. What the fuck did I say? What shit have I dug myself? What shithole have I, foxhole have I dug myself into now with my truth speaking and my authenticity and my mad mama tea ravings? Well, I better review this video. Wow. I reviewed it this morning, and it was, reading through my journal entries of even date from the 1st of October, going back in time to 2014. My God, there was some powerful writing in there. So I'm not your average idiot. I'm not your average bizarre genius. Every now and then, even there are things that come up in my videos or my vocal media entries that blow my own fucking gasket, and I go, yes, I'm capable of great things. I just don't always realise it, or I get lost in hellscapes not always of my own making. See also the COVID epoch, although during the COVID epoch, the last 4 years, my main focus was on learning silversmithing. I didn't write per se as much, but there are astonishing things that pop up, and I'm like, wow. So I have potential. I have potential to still yet write wonderful stories, or even a book one day. I don't dare commit to that day. It's a fear. It's a real, genuine fear. Like my love life, I haven't been able to manifest in real terms in 59 and a half years, out of genuine fear of inviting another abuser, or being neglected or abandoned or betrayed or cheated on or lied to or deceived or robbed or slandered or strangled and raped and otherwise fucking mutilated. It's a real, genuine fear that every day in every way I have to fight against and rise above. As my beautiful cousin Megan Phillips reminds me, we Phillipses, that's my maiden name, rise and shine, and we rise above our own horror and darkness and agonies at times. But when we're experiencing a brilliant, ecstatic, beautiful, poignant, protective, soul-nourishing, nurturing love, then we're capable of creating and emanating and blooming in all our meridians. And that too is, I can't even put it into words how amazing it feels right now. Right now. Last Saturday morning too, I felt pretty bloody awesome. So that was Ramjet played last week, and to be honest, I don't normally have this intense catharsis. Quite the same with alter egos, but I mean, yeah, why is that actually? Why can I let go more easily with Ramjet than I can with alter egos? Let go as in just, well, I guess we do. I do, but there's a different kind of flavour to it. Let me just think about it. I guess it's to do with all the disparate soul signatures and energies of the disparate people. It's like you bring in a recipe of the most beautiful, delicious ingredients and you throw it together, and it bubbles and froths and emanates and catalyzes, and I guess it is a kind of it's the same outcome, that we all feel soul nourished and blossoming and creative and powerful, but it happens by the third set. Same with Ramjet too. It takes us to build up slowly by the third set. I guess it's about feeling safe and welcomed and wanted and respected and admired. Like we all mutually admire each other's gifts and talents, and it's a beautiful thing. Yeah. But last night was amazing. I'll be reviewing this video probably in a year's time. I'll be like, wow. Because, you forget over time. You forget, things you move on. And you get lost in another heart space or head space or soul space, depending on what's going on in the world around you, the characters that are in your life at the time. You do fucking forget. It's another reason why I make these videos, because my mother died. My mother as I said, she wasn't well educated because of the war in Nazi Germany, but she had a mind like a steel trap. She read voraciously. She had a better vocabulary in English than I did, and I'm a native-born, New Zealander English speaker. Her command of the English language was astonishing. She used to make me do all these little quizzes from the Reader's Digest of quite obscure English words that were difficult for me to even pronounce, let alone understand. And she would beat me at those quizzes. That's how clever my mother was. So I've lost my train of thought talking about my mother. I just went blank. Isn't that interesting? Can't even talk about her without my mind having to switch it off to protect me. Oh, that's right. She died of advanced Alzheimer's. It was a horrific death. My mother was my sworn enemy. She'd been nothing but fucking vicious to me. But that viciousness intensified after my de facto stepfather's death in 1995. She literally switched on a dime. She'd always had the potential to be a monster and had been monstrous even during my childhood, but there's a lot of things I forgave because it's your mother. I mean, what do? When you have a narcissistic psychopath as a mother, you don't even know what's normal. You've got no frame of reference, right? This was a big part of my damage and my problems growing up. And so anyway, so she died this very slow, inexorable descent into her own crumbling mind, and I had the rare privilege and the horror of bearing witness to it, because I did the honourable thing. Even though she was my mother, my monster, I was there for her when no one, not my own children, were ever there for me when I had my surgeries and I was desperately ill. No one. When I've had serious breakdowns, no one in my family was ever there for me. Fucking bastards. But I was there for them, right? I was there for my mother for the last 18 months of her life, which by rights I should not have been put through that even, but I was the only living child here in Brisbane, half sister living in New Zealand, who anyway abdicates her role because she's a fucking malevolent dog and a coward. But what could she have done from New Zealand anyway? So it fell on me to take on that burden. I'd been estranged to my mother for many years. So it was kind of ironic that that burden became my burden. And I had a choice. I could have been more hard-ass like my daughters have been with me and just been, nah, that got nothing to do with you. Fuck off and die, bitch. But they didn't actually say it to me that way, but that's basically the same thing. So I'm not dying. I'm living vaingloriously and triumphantly and defiantly against all the odds, if for no other reason, just out of idle curiosity to see what I might yet become, and to prove to myself that I can create a beautiful life for myself with and without my children. But anyway, where was I? So I got to watch my mother's decline, and it wasn't pretty. It was not just watching her decline, but the people in the aged care facility shuffling like zombies, drooling and begging for cigarettes and sitting in their own shit and piss and not having clothes to wear and no visitors, just completely fucking abandoned and left to rot. I compared it to a Romanian orphanage. Some were even restrained and tied to beds, just like something in a Romanian orphanage of the 90s. I actually called in the independent visitor. It was that bad. I couldn't stand by and do nothing and bear witness to that evil shit one day longer. I even tried to continue to visit there after my mother died because I was worried about my mother's Jewish. They shared a room, bedmate. I was worried about her. She had no visitors either, and I was going to continue to visit her, but they stopped me because they knew I was seeing too much that was going on in there. The bastards. But anyway, they ultimately shut that home down. That's how bad it was. It got shut down. And part of the reason why it got shut down was because I whistled blue. Said, they've got no clothes, they're not getting proper treatment. There was a former nun that they used to barricade with desks and chairs and hemmed her in like some wild animal. Like, it was fucking intense. It was like something out of a horror movie. And I've watched a lot of horror movies since early childhood in my day. I watch horror movies sometimes for catharsis, because none of it was as bad as my actual reality growing up, right? Drag me to hell. Go watch that movie, the part where the goat starts talking. I laughed hysterically, the whole cinema. I was screaming with laughter at the gypsy woman with her accent and being all evil and malevolent. She was right. The bank fucking did her over. Why wouldn't you put a curse on those motherfuckers? And I'm laughing through the whole thing because to me it was a comedy. Jared, my friend, my beautiful friend. Oh, he loves me. He tolerates me so well. He said, Tony, you're meant to be terrified. I said, the goat, Jared, the goat. It's meant to represent, the devil, the goat with the long horns and talking. And I said, it's biblical, Balaam, the talking donkey, asked to bless and curse, the donkey starts talking. Anyway, I just saw the funny side of it. So when my reality became more of a horror movie than actual fucking fictional horror movies that are designed to terrify you and eat like little worms into your brain and reprogram your mind so that you become some fucked up, distorted automaton that can't think for themselves and has no critical thinking. And so when COVID comes along, they couldn't think straight. Mama T was fully alive and synapsing. That too was a gift from the gods, literally a gift from the gods, because intuitively back in, it was May 2016, went to my regular, I see him every 2 weeks, went to my regular debrief with my psychiatrist. I said, Brian, I'm sick of being a drooling, shuffling automaton. I said, these heavy psych meds are doing me no good. They've affected my liver. God knows what other organs have blown out over the years. I said I lost my uterus as well, but that probably wasn't directly from the psych meds. That would have been from having to heft very heavy furniture, moving houses 8 times with 2 very young children, trying to constantly get us to safety. Fucked my uterus. Well, anyway, I said, Brian, I want my mind back. I want my mind back. I'll do anything to get my mind back. I don't think that's a good idea, Tanya. I don't think you should go off those psych meds, Tanya. I think you need to be maintained on them, forever until the day you die. No, not doing it. He says, well, we compromised. He said, how about we just flush them out and see how you go? And I'll review you in 2 months. So I said, all right, you're my doctor, you're my consultant psychiatrist. Let's do that. Let's see how I go. Review me in 2 months. 2 months went by. It took me 2 months to flush them all out. Well, I flushed them out in a month. Technically, it was supposed to take 2 months, but I was very, very determined. I flushed all those drugs out of me in 1 month. Never shat so much in my entire life as I did flushing out those psych meds. By the gods. TMI, but it was intense. My whole body, just every cell extruded all those toxins out of me. And anyway, 2 months go by, I go and see him. He said, Tanya, I'm astonished at how well you are doing mentally, and I'm so proud of you, and I apologise to you for thinking that you needed to be kept on those psych meds. They've done you no good at all. So that was early June 2016 when I took the last antidepressant, antipsychotic. And yes, I do have very bad and generalised anxiety still, and I still have complex PTSD, and there are days when I'm really not fucking well, and I'll tell you to your face, Mama T's not well today, today's not a good day. If I tell you that to your face, expect the unexpected, because I'm honest about my mental health and where I'm at and the journey I've been on. It's been a long, hard fight to not just stay alive, but reclaim my power as a woman and as a spirit, and do my wild dance on the weekends, which for me is, at times feels very fucking dangerous, especially the long walk back to the car or on and off buses. But I thought about it yesterday. I've been doing this for 14 years. Why should I suddenly curl up and crawl into a ball and give up on what I enjoy out of fear? No. Face everything and rise. And so I did last night, and it was en français, formidable, formidable, and beautiful and magic. So yes, I make these videos because memory, I'm preserving memory, and preserving my authenticity, preserving all our story and authenticity together, people of Earth, those of you who watch my videos, those of you who, provide the music, those of you who provide the security, those of you who provide the drinky poos, those of you who dance beside me, proud and happy to be in my energy without being lascivious and kind of slimy, because they get sloughed off. Sorry boys, but it's just the way it is when you're dealing with the Tanya. I'm not your average person for a reason. many multiple reasons. But so this I segued on. I went on and on and on. I went on and on and on and on. But the moral of the story is never ever let the bastards grind you down. Hold your line. Dance your dance. A chance to entrance. Enchant. Be sweet. Be kind. Be noble. Be honouring. And I'm grateful for my beautiful friends who do love me in the scene and have my back, my front and my sides. And I got to see that last night yet again. So you know who you are, babies. The Silver Crown. I haven't pre-read this story. I mean, I read these books when I was 17, but I haven't done a preview, review, reminder, so we're going fresh, babies. Guts, the father. No, just started that at 1:11:11 on the recording. Gratitude to my angels who love me and protect me and have built me back even better after many, many life-threatening experiences by the gods. It's astonishing, people are there. Truly astonishing. Anyway, where was I? Guts, the father, lay dying in a hospital bed. Different doctors said different things, held different theories. There was talk of an exploratory operation, but they thought it might kill him. One doctor said cancer. Of the heart, the old man said bitterly. It wouldn't be impossible. The young Guns, Albert, a high school biology teacher, in the afternoons walked the streets in sorrow. What can anybody do about cancer? Which reminds me I have to get my skin checked. Literally, it's life-threatening if I don't. I know, Mama T abhors doctors. I avoid them like the plague, literally like the plague. The only one doctor that I go to willingly every 2 weeks is my handsome, talented Brian, because he's the reason, a big part of the reason why I'm as sane as I am today and why I'm still alive. But where was I? What can anyone do about cancer, says Albert the young Guns. His soles wore thin with walking. He was easily irritated, angered by the war, atom bomb, pollution, death, obviously the strain of worrying about his father's illness. To be able to do nothing for him made him frantic. He had done nothing for him all his life. Well, you heard earlier how I feel about my adult daughter's abandonment of me when the chips were down. But it's not the first time that's happened, and that's why this time it was the last. Enough is enough, people. What do they say in Italian? Basta, basta. A female colleague, an English teacher he had slept with once, a girl who was visibly aging. It's a bit unkind, isn't it? Talking about a young woman like that. Jesus. Well, anyway, aging happens to all of us. If you live long enough, you're going to get old and toothless and have grey hair and lose your marbles to a certain degree. And never mind. There's a lot more I could say about that, but I don't want to scare the young people. Live joyously and triumphantly, whatever age and stage of life you are in, people of Earth. Every day above ground is both a blessing and a curse, and brings its own gifts. Even in dark and troubled times, there is a gift that comes out of it. Sometimes hard won on the cold face of trauma, not always pleasant. Certainly wouldn't want to go through that ever again, but it has a gift. Reclamation of the soul, the body, the mind, the spirit. A girl who was visibly aging advised, if the doctors don't know, Albert, try a faith healer. Different people know different things. Nobody knows everything. You can't tell about the human body. A lot of the healing actually happens up here. Just with your sheer force of will and determination alone. Choose life. I have set before you blessings and curses, therefore choose life. Even that malfeasant, evil, dirty motherfucker Davidson drove that home to me. He was right about that. On that, he was right. I will give him that much. Choose life, people. Might not be the life you dreamt of. Living in the Riviera with $4,000 boots. But it's still a life. And something you can be proud of if you fought for it and you danced for it and you loved it and people loved you back. It's a life. A beautiful life created by heart and soul. Magic, power, authenticity. I love you all. I love you so much. Mama too. I had a nasty little verminous fucking troll on my YouTube yesterday. I think it was my former friend, now former friend, Nigel, under a different name, under a different account. Nigel, it's really perverted what you wrote to me, Nige. You motherfucker. We used to be friends for 20 years. He got vicious because I didn't want to marry him. Why would I want to marry a gay man? How is that going to be satisfying sexually? I should have defriended him when he actually made that proposition back in January. Was it January this year? Yes. It took me 11 months to lose patience with it. It's an it, what it did yesterday, writing that filth about snakes. You filthy fucking animal. So any other YouTube viewers that think it's funny to write filth to me on my YouTube channel, you will be removed. So don't even waste your time with your sick little distorted little games. Just saying. You know I hate sleaze and sordidity and putrescence. I continue on with the story. Albert laughed mirthlessly, but listened. If specialists disagree, who do you agree with? If you've tried everything, what else can you try? And it's possible that it's not Nigel, by the way, but he's pulled that stunt before. It was the exact same wording, something about touching a snake all day and spitting. It's just completely fucking putrid. I'd be better lying in the garden with an actual serpent than a filthy fucking male like that with that attitude towards me. Fuck off, you cunt. Sorry, but Mama T's manifesting. Albert laughed mirthlessly, but listened. Yes. If specialists disagree, who do you agree with? If you've tried everything, what else can you try? Right, we're back in the room. One afternoon, after a long walk alone, as he was about to descend the subway stairs somewhere in the Bronx, still burdened by his worries, uneasy that nothing had changed, he was accosted by a fat girl with bare, meaty arms, who thrust a soiled card at him that he tried to avoid. She was a stupefying sight, retarded at the very least. 15, he'd say, though she looks 30 and probably has the mentality of age 10. By the God, it's actually got hotter in here. How can it get hotter when I've got it on 23? I must be having a hot flush. It's an intense metamorphosis. Very intense. Who will I be when I'm finished with this metamorphosis, people of Earth? I don't know. But my real and true loves, friends, family, countrymen, even perhaps a sexual partner one day, will treat me with absolute integrity and honour and respect. I will not suffer fools or anything less than that. Just saying, by the gods. His skin glowed, face wet, fleshy, the small mouth open and would be forever, eyes set wide apart on the broad unfocused face, either washed out green or brown or one of each, he wasn't sure. She seemed not to mind his appraisal, gurgled faintly. Her thick hair was braided in 2 rope-like strands. She wore bulging cloth slippers, bursting at seams and soles, a faded red skirt down to massive ankles, and a heavy brown sweater vest buttoned over blown breasts, though the weather was still hot September. The teacher's impulse was to pass by her outthrust, plump baby hand. Instead, he took the card from her. Simple curiosity. Once you had learned to read, you read anything. Charitable impulse? Albert recognised Yiddish and Hebrew, but read in English. Heal the sick, save the dying, make a silver crown. What kind of silver crown would that be? Pardon me. She uttered impossible noises. Depressed, he looked away. When his eyes turned to hers, she ran off. He studied the card. Make a silver crown. It gave a rabbi's name and address, no less. Jonas Lifshitz, close by in the neighbourhood. The silver crown mystified him. He had no idea what it had to do with saving the dying, but felt he ought to know, although at first repelled by the thought. He made up his mind to visit the rabbi, and felt, in a strange way, relieved. The teacher hastened along the street a few blocks until he came to the address on the card, a battered synagogue in a store, Congregation Theodor Herzl, painted in large, uneven white letters on the plate glass window. The rabbi's name, in smaller gold letters, was A. Marcus. In the doorway to the left of the store, the number of the house was repeated in tin numerals, and on a card under the vacant nameplate under the mezuzah appeared in pencil, Rabbi J. Lifshitz, retired, consultations, ring the bell. The bell, when he decided to chance it, did not work, seemed dead to the touch. So Albert, his heartbeat erratic, turned the knob. The door gave easily enough, and he hesitantly walked up a dark flight of narrow wooden stairs. Ascending, assailed by doubts, peering up through the gloom, he thought of turning back, but at the first floor landing compelled himself to knock loudly on the door. "Anybody home here?" He rapped harder, annoyed with himself for being there, engaging in the act of entrance. Who would have predicted it an hour ago? The door opened a crack, and that broad, badly formed face appeared. The retarded girl. Now, retarded is, not politically correct. We're supposed to say disabled or intellectually handicapped now. It's old English, but, this was written back in the 70s, I think. It's not nice to call someone retarded now. So bear with me. It's his story, not mine. Can't all be bloody politically correct and woke all the time, by the way. Gets laborious, dancing on coals around everything. The girl that wasn't quite right in the head, squinting one bulbous eye, made noises like 2 eggs frying and ducked back, slamming the door. The teacher, after momentary reflection, thrust it open in time to see her, bulky as she was, running swiftly along the long, tight corridor, her body bumping the walls before she disappeared into a room at the rear. Albert entered cautiously, with a sense of embarrassment, if not danger, warning himself to depart at once. Yet stayed, "I know, Scotty, yes, I've got a sore neck." But actually it was sore early in the evening before I did the 360-degree wash, so you got me good, but it was already a bit squidgy. Hello, Charlie. Mama T's very happy. Let me have my freedom and my wildness for as long as I can, my darlings. I love you all, but Mama T has to remain Mama T for as long as she can, till she gets too old or she dies, whichever comes first. Now, where was I? Yes. We got lost. Mama T got lost. I'm still very tired, can you tell? Bing, bam, boom, babies. Back in the room. The teacher, after momentary reflection, thrust it open in time to see her, bulky as she was, running swiftly along the long, tight corridor, her body bumping the walls before she disappeared into a room at the rear. Albert entered cautiously, with a sense of embarrassment, if not danger, warning himself to depart at once, yet stayed to peek curiously into a front room off the hallway, darkened by lowered green shades, through which thread-like rivulets of light streamed. By the way, all my vigorous dancing every weekend for the last however long I've been doing it, but since I've been going to the Brooklyn Standard and I'm getting to do my wild mosh and my wild dance, I haven't lost weight per se, but my body has changed shape. For example, I've got tone in my shoulders. I noticed that last night. Look, it's not that used to be all flab people there. Yeah. I noticed it when I looked at the photo of me wearing my corset last night. And I had to pull in my stays on my corset before I went out. I had to pull it in quite a bit, which means I've toned in my waist. So I'm very happy about this. I'm still overweight, but my body is changing shape, which is a good thing. I'm stronger and fitter, if not slimmer. So, the shades resembled faded maps of ancient lands. An old grey-bearded man with thickened left eyelid, wearing a yarmulke, sat heavily asleep, a book in his lap, on a sagging armchair. Someone in the room gave off a stale odour, unless it was the armchair. No bitches. No good bitches. Mama's baby. Are you my baby? Oh, you're the baby. You're the baby. As Albert stared, the old man awoke in a hurry. Where are you going, Missy? Where are you going? The small, thick book on his lap fell with a thump to the floor, but instead of picking it up, he shoved it with a kick of the heel under his chair. So where were we? He inquired pleasantly, a bit breathless. The teacher removed his hat, remembered whose house he was in, and put it back on his head. He introduced himself. I was looking for Rabbi J. Lifshitz. Your, girl let me in? Rabbi Lifshitz, this was my daughter Rivkila. She's not perfect, though God who made her in his image is himself perfection. What this means, I don't have to tell you. His heavy eyelid went down in a wink, apparently involuntarily. What does it mean? Albert asked. In her way she is also perfect. Anyway, she let me in and here I am. So what did you decide? Concerning what, if I may ask? What did you decide about what we were talking about? The silver crown. His eyes roved as he spoke. He rubbed a nervous thumb and forefinger. Crafty type, the teacher decided. Him I have to watch myself with. Kabbalists. You've got to watch yourself with her. They're not all good men, by the way. Ask me how I know. Motherfuckers. The most grandiose fucking grave at Mount Gravatt Cemetery. Frankly, I should piss on, but as a mark of respect, I put a stone there because of our shared history, am I right? Evil, dirty bastard. Him and Davidson. What does it do me to hold on to this anger that serves no purpose but slowly rots and infests my soul? So a stone he had. Should have been fucking stoned. It's not wise to be vicious to Britannia who came in good faith wanting to learn holy Kabbalah. All the the rabbis watching this, who know that I'm a heathen and a witch and a shaman, but they also understand the source of my anger and why it's righteous. Although one should not hold on to anger, because it does poison your soul. Sometimes you've got to rise above the bullshit, but it might take you, holy shit, it's nearly 25 years. 25 fucking years. Anyway, his mate's dead now, been dead now for 8 years. Can't hurt me anymore. Just wafts through as a spirit and interferes in my love life, or dibbook in the roof. Dibbook in my roof, but no longer has access to my nether regions, just so. Although, if he had half a chance, he'd still try. Laughter and the sippy rot. Well, I reserve that for the man who loves me truly and deeply and honouringly and passionately and romantically, who has my back, my front and my sides, who values, cherishes and adores me. And until that man comes to me in all his wonderful, magical glory, Mama's tea stays asexual celibate, possibly till the day I die. And je ne regrette rien either. Too much ugliness happened in my life. And from my own community. Filthy it was, how they treated me. I came here to find out about this crown you advertised, he said. But actually, we haven't talked about it or anything else. When I entered here, you were sound asleep. At my age, the rabbi explained with a little laugh, I don't mean any criticism. All I'm saying is, I am a stranger to you. How can we be strangers if we both believe in God? It's a valid point. All is one, one is all. Albert made no argument of it. The rabbi raised the two shades, and the last of daylight fell into the spacious, high-ceilinged room, crowded with at least a dozen stiff back and folding chairs, plus a broken sofa. What kind of operation is he running here? Group consultations? He dispensed rabbinic therapy? The teacher felt renewed distaste for himself for having come. On the wall hung a single oval mirror, framed in gold-plated groupings of joined metal circles, large and small, but no pictures. Despite the empty chairs, or perhaps because of them, the room seemed barren, but a craving for something salty like hot chips with chicken salt right now. What's the time? 12:07. Yeah, it is lunchtime, darlings. But yeah, just salt and craving salt. The teacher observed that the rabbi's trousers were some mischievous thing to say. You need a man who holds you and brushes your hair and sweet with you. Yes, all right, it's all very romantic and sweet, but we live in the real world. People are there. The teacher observed that the rabbi's trousers were a week from ragged. He was wearing an unpressed, worn black suit coat and a yellowed white shirt without a tie. His wet, greyish blue eyes were restless. Rabbi Lifshitz was a dark-faced man with brown eye pouches and smelled of old age. This was the odour. Oh, it's a foul thing, that old person smell. I'm starting to get it. So it's hideous. I remember my mother smelling like an old person. I'd go and, Mum, you stink like an old person. Val, darling, it's because I am old. Yeah, but Mum, you need to bath more. It's not about the bathing. My mother was scrupulously clean, bathed all the time. So what is it, Mum? She said it's the breaking down of the skin as you age. Oh, thanks, Mum. I've got that to fucking look forward to as well. Back in those days, I was often majorly depressed and often suicidal, so it was very difficult for me to contemplate the prospect of actually getting old one day. It's astonishing. I'm now officially old. Still a bit in denial about it. Hence the mushing with the neck, surrounded by beautiful, handsome, talented, the younger man all looking at me going, go Tanya, just keep going Tanya, just do it Tanya, we're all feeding off you Tanya, it's fabulous Tanya, and I love you all. I don't even mind that we all feed each other in a feedback loop. As long as it's a symbiosis that goes both ways and it's not just me being fed from, I'm okay with that. I get cranky when it becomes one-sided and distorted. But by the gods, this time-fighting, space-banditing, oxygen thieving is... Fuck, I've made an art of it, people of Earth. I've outlasted my own expectations. But yes, I'm starting to get that strange fragrance. And I got so hot and sweaty last night in the club, you know, towards the end of the night, the third set, I thought, oh, I don't have BO because I always wear deodorant, but I just became conscious that my face was all hot and sweaty and cloying, so I went into my little bag, I've got to fill it up. And I pulled out my little spritz bottle of rose water, and I just spritzed my whole face and my arms of rose water, and oh, I smelled lovely again. It wasn't even about the smell though, it was actually wanting the spritzing, the moisture. But it was so fragrant. Even Paulie kind of was singing, he kind of gave me a little bit of a look because he was getting the waft of the fragrance. It was very refreshing, very refreshing. Well, summer's coming. It's going to get hotter and weirder and hotter, but Mama T is still going to dance, you know, by the gods. It's amazing. Anyway, it was the odour of old age. I need to take a lover before I go off in the summer heat and just smell like fetid old lady slowly dying, right? Well, that's about as sexy as, what was I talking about in my video the other day? Toe fungus. Well, I've healed my toe fungus. Constantly fighting it. It's a battle that's gone on for 8 years. But anyway, I've got to grow the nail out, but I have healed it. Oh my God, it's a constant. It's cost me a fortune and all the various oils that I've got to blend to fight that off. So I can fight that off, but how am I going to fight off the old lady smell that's going to get worse in the next 10 or 20 years? Dear Goddess. It's putrid too, it's a horrible smell. I mean, not maybe horrible, but I've got a very delicate nose to aromas. Some young woman was dancing beside, young and beautiful, slim, beautiful, but she had the worst fucking BO. I'm just like, oh dear Goddess, why do you do that? Go out without deodorant in the stinking Brisbane subtropic heat. Like, what the actual fuck? Was really off-putting. Anyway, She's a nice enough girl, but I can't stand it when people stink around me. I make a lot of sacrifices to have my one night out with my wild dance. I really do. I've got to put up with the BO. I've got to put up with the creeps. I've got to put up with my own mood states that move in and out of various states depending on, who's around me and what triggerings. I've got to fight through a lot. I'm a warrior goddess. It's intense, people. But anyway, where was I? I've lost it. It was hard to say whether he resembled his daughter. Roofkiller resembled her species. Well, that's not kind, is it? Just because she's got fetal alcohol syndrome and is ugly, it's not her fault. Like, Daddy was imbibing too much schnapps when he created her. Or Mummy, one of them. Dear Goddess. So sit, said the old rabbi with a light sigh. Not on the couch, sit on a chair. Which in particular? You have a first-class humour. Smiling absently, he pointed to 2 kitchen chairs and seated himself in one. He offered a thin cigarette. I'm off them, the teacher explained. I also. The old man put the pack away. So who is sick? He inquired. Albert tightened at the question as he recalled the card he had taken from the girl. Heal the sick, save the dying. To come to the point, my father's in the hospital with a serious ailment. In fact, he's dying. The rabbi nodded gravely, dug into his pants pocket for a pair of glasses, wiped them with a large soiled handkerchief. Why would you use a dirty handkerchief to clean your glasses? Yuck. Just vomited a little bit in my mouth. And put them on, lifting the wire earpieces over each fleshy ear. So we will make then a crown for him? That depends. The crown is what I came here to find out about. What do you wish to find out? I'll be frank with you. The teacher blew his nose and slowly wiped it. My cast of mind is naturally empiric and objective, you might say, non-mystical. I'm suspicious of faith healing, but I've come here, frankly, because I want to do anything possible to help my father recover his former health. To put it otherwise, I don't want anything to go untried. You love your father? The rabbi clucked, a glaze of sentiment veiling his eyes. What I feel is obvious. My real concern right now mainly is, how does the crown work? Could you be explicit about the mechanism of it all? Who wears it, for instance? Does he? Do you? Or do I have to? In other words, how does it function? And if you wouldn't mind saying, what's the principle or rationale behind it? This is terra incognita for me, but I think I might be willing to take a chance if I could justify it to myself. Could I see a sample of the crown, for instance, if you have one on hand? The rabbi, with an absent-minded start, seemed to interrupt himself, about to pick his nose. What is the crown? He asked, at first haughtily, then again gently. It is a crown, nothing else. There are crowns in Mishnah, Proverbs, Kabbalah. The holy scrolls of the Torah are often protected by crowns. But this one is different. This you will understand when it does the work. It's a miracle. A sample doesn't exist. The crown has to be made individual to your father. Then his health will be restored. There are two prices. Kindly explain what's supposed to cure the sickness, Albert said. Does it work like sympathetic magic? I'm not naysaying, you understand. I just happen to be interested in all kinds of phenomena. Is the crown supposed to draw off the illness like some kind of poultice, or what? The crown is not a medicine. It is the health of your father. We offer the crown to God, and God returns to your father his health. But first, we got to make it the way it must be made. This I will do with my assistant, a retired jeweler. He has helped me to make 1,000 crowns. Believe me, he knows silver. This is a reminder to me to carry on with my silversmithing. Thank you, Hashem, for your sweet little reminders to not give up, am I right? Believe me, he knows silver, the right amount to the ounce according to the size you wish. Then I will say the blessings. Without the right blessings, exact to each word, the crown don't work. I don't have to tell you why. When the crown is finished, your father will get better. This I will guarantee you. Let me read you some words from the mystic book. The Kabbalah, the teacher asked respectfully. Like the Kabbalah. The rabbi rose, went to his armchair, got slowly down on his hands and knees, and withdrew the book he had shoved under the misshapen chair, a thick, small volume with faded purple covers, not a word imprinted on it. The rabbi kissed the book and murmured a prayer. In our tradition, we kiss all prayer books or holy books because it contains the word of God. So we are in effect kissing God. Does God kiss us back? Maybe. Sometimes I blaspheme here with a little bit too much tongue. But it's my sense of humour. God forgive me. Laughter in the Sephirot. Well, anyway, I know, I can't help myself. I know. I had it for a minute, he explained, when you came in the room. It's a terrible thing nowadays. Goyim come. Goyim means non-Jewish people. Goyim come in your house in the middle of the day and take away that which belongs to you, if not your life itself. I told you right away that your daughter had let me in, Albert said in embarrassment. Once you mentioned, I knew. The teacher then asked, suppose I am a non-believer. Will the crown work if it's ordered by a person who has his doubts? Doubts we have all got. We doubt God, and God doubts us. This is true. This is natural on account of the nature of existence. Of this kind doubts I am not afraid so long as you love your father. You're putting it in a sort of a paradox. So what's so bad about a paradox? My father isn't the easiest man in the world to get along with, and neither am I for that matter. But he has been generous to me, and I'd like to repay him in some way. Well, my mother was generous with marzipan, but let us not forget that she stole very valuable land from me land left for me by my grandfather, and they shook on it too, by all the gods. That wasn't all she stole from me, my rightful inheritance as well. Puh. Scum and trash have my rightful inheritance now. I had to let go of that anger. It nearly killed me. 14, almost 15 years in March of nearly killing me. But I'm happy now. I don't have any money, don't have any land. All my houses and my business were robbed of me. But I have me back, babies. And that is a jewel more precious than any diamonds, rubies, platinum, plutonium, titanium, emeralds, sapphires, opals. Alive, proud, happy in your own body, mind and spirit is your greatest gift too. That is your crown. That is your health and your vigour and your vitality and your healing. So thank you to all who built me back. Even, alas, some of my more potent enemies. I fought too hard every day in every way. I got me back. So fuck you. But you too were a backhanded gift from the multiverses. But I must admit I'd much rather be surrounded by people who genuinely, authentically love me and wish me to thrive and have true love and passion and romance and devotion and loyalty and fidelity and music and art and literature and full health and vigour. What did my beautiful friend Scott say to me last night? Have you been well? Sweetness. He knows I'm never well. He knows how hard I fight every day. Every single fucking day for my dance. My darling one. My angel, my sweet. You're all my angels and my sweetnesses. All of you. Even when I get cranky with you at times. Because I'm only human. We're all only human. I'm sure you get cranky with me sometimes too. My defiance and my rebellion. But you have to trust in it. There's a reason why I am the way I am today. Why I am as powerful and healing myself every day in every way. You have to trust me and you have to give me a certain amount of grace, including my moshing ways. It's powerful and it's magical and it's a gift from the gods, not from me, from the gods and the angels. There's angels in the architecture, spinning in infinity, and together we say, Hallelujah. What you doing, Joe? You're a pretty birdie. Yes, you are. Right. God respects a grateful son. If you love, see, no accidents that I began this story talking about my difficult relationship with my toxic but also very broken, damaged mother, the intergenerational trauma. And here we have the reminder. God respects a grateful son. Yet somehow God respected me because I did right by her even though she was my enemy. It wasn't out of gratitude. It was just out of a sense of duty and honour and basic human decency, because I would like to have been treated the same way by my daughters. Alas, no. I want to cry when I think about it. Not one member, except maybe my cousin Megan and my cousin Melissa Rose and Ken's, but not one member of my family of origins, my bloodlines, my own blood, had any fucking cojones or honour towards me. Piss on them all, what they did to me when I was vulnerable last year. Don't ever, ever fucking kick me when I'm down, because when I rise up, you'll never be in my life again. Not even my own blood. And yes, it grieves me terribly. I loved my daughters more than my own life. But I must remember my own words. What good is keeping the anger that seeps beneath my skin like a writhing serpent, seeking new ways to infest and infect and bring me disease and malaise and depression and destruction. You have to just ding, slough it the fuck off like an old skin. My psychiatrist asked me on Wednesday, have you heard from your daughter? I said, no, we've been estranged since the 20th of September 2023. How do you feel about that? Meh. He looked at me. I know that looks like an evil thing for a mother to say about her own adult child. I said, but I have to reach that level of detachment, because it's that evil and rotten how I was neglected and betrayed and abandoned in my time of need last year, when I actually was very, very ill with my bladder and thought I was going to die. Well, I didn't die, but that's beside the point. It's a moot point, because I have died many, many times, and my daughter actually knows that. Instead of having compassion and grace and empathy and courage and decency towards me, never mind. The rain, it's pouring with rain. It was actually a lovely morning. But there you go. Life is beautiful, people. Even if you have to remain alone for the rest of your life, it can still be beautiful. I'm living proof of that. Come here, Charlie. Up, up, up. That's it. Not my little baby. My little baby. You're my little baby. God respects a grateful son. If you love your father, she's my little baby, but she's a shitter. I love how you just save it up for when I pick you up and put you on my shoulder, Charlie. Dear Goddess. Look at it. If you love your father, this will go in the crown and help him to recover his health. Do you understand Hebrew? Unfortunately not. The rabbi flipped a few pages of his thick tome, peered at one closely and read aloud in Hebrew, which he then translated into English. The crown is the fruit of God's grace. His grace is love of creation. These words I will read 7 times over the silver crown. This is the most important blessing. Fine, but what about those 2 prices you mentioned a minute ago? This depends how quick you wish the cure. I want the cure to be immediate, otherwise there's no sense in the whole deal, Albert said, controlling anger. This instant gratification thing, it's pure greed. Sometimes cures take time. You need patience. You need faith. You need to trust in your own body, mind and spirit, and in your own gnosis. You have to be strong and powerful. You have to accept that you may have to walk alone for the rest of your goddamn natural life, because no one can handle you or comprehend you or stand with you, honour and pride and integrity. It's a shit fuckery without end. But I've done it. 30 years alone, people of Earth. That's why I can't be inspired by weak people. I can't tolerate it. I'll forgive it because I understand it. Sometimes it's just too fucking hard. But I can't admire it. That's what I mean by that. Weak, cowardly, malfeasant, lackluster people literally make me vomit a bit in my mouth. Dear Goddess. It's because I've had to come back from the brink of my own death too many times. There is no death, by the way. There isn't. There's the dying process and the transmogrification from this form to another form, which comes to us all. Eventually even I will reach that stage, but our souls are eternal and energy cannot die. The thing we fear though, the thing we fear about the dying process, that we really fear, is the loss of our memory and our identity and our attachments and our emotions and having to say goodbye to the people we love, the fear that we may never see them again, which is irrational because of course we will, but in another form. And you have to trust that that love will remain with you wherever you go and that you will find each other again. You have to really, that's a huge leap of faith for some people. The real authentic loves that you can take anywhere in the known multiverse. That you will find each other. They will come for you, to you, and you will come forward to them at their appointed times. Fine, but what about these 2 prices you mentioned a minute ago? I've read that, dear Goddess. Here we go. Oh, that was a carry on. I want the cure to be immediate, otherwise there's no sense to the whole deal, Albert said, controlling anger. If you're questioning my sincerity, I've already told you I'm considering this recourse, even though it goes against the grain of some of my strongest convictions. I've gone out of my way to make my pros and cons absolutely clear. Who says no? The teacher became aware of Rivkilla standing at the door, eating a slice of bread with lumps of butter on it. She beheld him in mild stupefaction, as though seeing him for the first time. Später, Rivkilla, the rabbi said patiently. The girl shoved the bread into her mouth and ran ponderously down the passageway. Anyway, what about those 2 prices? Albert asked, annoyed by the interruption. Every time Rivkilla appeared, His doubts of the enterprise rose before him like warriors with spears. "We got two kinds crowns," said the rabbi. "One is for 401, and the other is 986. Dollars, you mean, for God's sake? That's fantastic." "The crown is pure silver. The client pays in silver dollars. So the silver dollars we melt, more for the large-sized crown, less for the medium." "What about the small?" "There is no small. What good is a small crown?" "I wouldn't know, but the assumption seems to be, the bigger the better. Tell me, please, what can a 986 crown do that a 401 can't? Does the patient get better faster with the larger one? It hastens the reaction?" The rabbi, 5 fingers hidden in his limp beard, assented. "Are there any other costs?" "Costs? Over and above the quoted prices. The price is the price. There is no extra. The price is for the silver and for the work and for the blessings." "Now would you kindly tell me, assuming I decide to get involved in this, where am I supposed to lay my hands on 401 silver dollars? Or, if I should opt for the 986 job, where can I get a pile of cartwheels of that amount? I don't suppose that any bank in the whole Bronx would keep that many silver dollars on hand nowadays. The Bronx is no longer the Wild West, Rabbi Lifshitz. But, what's more to the point, isn't it true the mint isn't making silver dollars all silver anymore?" Yeah, this is a real problem, by the way, trying to access actual pure silver. "So, if they are not making, we will get wholesale. If you will leave with me the cash, I will order the silver from a wholesaler, and we will save you the trouble to go to the bank. It will be the same amount of silver, only in small bars. I will weigh them on a scale in front of your eyes. One other question. Would you take my personal cheque in payment? I could give it to you right away since once I've made my final decision." "I wish I could, Mr. Gunt," said the rabbi, his veined hand still nervously exploring his beard. "But it's better cash when the patient is so sick, so I can start the work right away. A cheque sometimes comes back or gets lost in the bank, and this interferes with the crown." Albert did not ask how, suspecting that a bounced cheque or a lost one wasn't the problem. No doubt some customers for crowns had stopped their cheques on afterthought. I'm just smiling at a sweet little memory of my tailor and my Erin having my back last night. My darling ones. As the teacher reflected concerning his next move, should he, shouldn't he, weighing a rational thought against a sentimental, the old rabbi sat in his chair, reading quickly in his small mystic book, his lips hastening along silently. Albert at last got up. "I decide the question once and for all tonight. If I go ahead and commit myself on the crown, I'll bring you the cash after work tomorrow." "Go in good health," said the rabbi. Removing his glasses, he wiped both eyes with his handkerchief. Wet or dry, thought the teacher. As he let himself out the downstairs door, more inclined than not towards trying the crown, he felt relieved, almost euphoric. But by the next morning, after a difficult night, Albert's mood had about-faced. He fought gloom, irritation, felt flashes of hot and cold anger. It's throwing money away, pure and simple. I'm dealing with a clever confidence man, that's plain to me, but for some reason I'm not resisting strongly. Maybe my subconscious is telling me to go along with the blowing wind and have the crown made. After that, we'll see what happens, whether it rains, snows, or spring comes. Not much will happen, I suppose, but whatever does, my conscience will be in the clear. But when he visited Rabbi Lifshitz that afternoon in the same room full of empty chairs, though the teacher carried the required cash in his wallet, he was still uncomfortable about parting with it. It's a bit like me buying the little Smith torch. It's just such an extraordinary amount of money that I'm literally shaking at the thought of it. But I've bought it before and it's time to buy it again. I hope I'll have enough money left. My money burns and sizzles like acid in a hot fire. It's always been that way. I don't know why that is. I try hard to preserve it, but, well, life is expensive, is it not, my darlings? Anyway, the gods will provide at the appointed time. Maybe I'll, instead of panicking about buying it now with what's left of my advance, maybe I'll wait till I get my small settlement and do it then. But I kind of want to buy the rolling machine with that. Anyway, it's semantics. It's semantics. If I run out of money, I run out of money. Shit happens. Life goes on. Where do the crowns go after they are used and the patient recovers his health? He cleverly asked the rabbi. I'm glad you asked me this question, said the rabbi alertly, his thick lid drooping. They are melted in the silver we give to the poor. A mitzvah for one makes a mitzvah for another. To the poor, you say. There are plenty poor people, Mr. Guntz. Sometimes they need a crown for a sick wife or a sick child. Where will they get the silver? I see what you mean, recycled sort of. But can't a crown be reused as it is? I mean, do you permit a period of time to go by before you melt them down? Suppose a dying man who recovers gets seriously ill again at a future date. For a new sickness, you will need a new crown. Tomorrow the world is not the same as today, though God listens with the same ear. Look, Rabbi Lifshitz, Albert said impatiently, I'll tell you frankly that I'm inching towards ordering the crown, but it would make my decision a whole lot easier all around if you would let me have a quick look at one of them. It wouldn't have to be for more than 5 seconds, at a crown in progress for some other client. What will you see in 5 seconds? Enough, whether the object is believable, worth the fuss, and not inconsequential investment. Stop chewing my dress, Charlie. Mr. Guntz, replied the rabbi, this is not a showcase business. You are not buying from me a new Chevrolet automobile. Your father lays now dying in the hospital. Do you love him? Do you wish me to make a crown that will cure him? The teacher's anger flared. Don't be stupid, Rabbi. I've answered that. Please don't sidetrack the real issue. You're working on my guilt, so I'll suspend my perfectly reasonable doubts of the whole freaking business. I won't fall for that. They glared at each other. The rabbi's beard quivered. Albert ground his teeth. It's a bad habit of mine too, bruxism. I'm not very lovely to sleep next to people. Between the snoring and the bruxism and the suffocating my own self in my own sleep. If I get a partner one day, we'll probably have to have separate bedrooms, otherwise that person would go insane. They glared at each other. Oh, I've read that. Rivkala, in a nearby room, moaned. The rabbi, breathing emotionally, after a moment, relented. I will show you the crown, he sighed. Accept my apologies for losing my temper, the rabbi accepted. Now tell me please what kind of sickness your father has got. Ah, said Albert, nobody is certain for sure. One day he got into bed, turned to the wall and said, I'm sick. They suspected leukemia at first, but the lab tests didn't confirm it. You talked to the doctors? In droves, till I was blue in the face. A bunch of ignoramuses, said the teacher hoarsely. Anyway, nobody knows exactly what he has wrong with him. The theories include rare blood diseases, also a possible carcinoma of certain endocrine glands. You name it, I've heard it, with complications suggested like Parkinson's or Addison's disease, multiple sclerosis or something similar, alone or in combination with other sicknesses. It's a mysterious case, all in all. This means you will need a special crown, said the rabbi. The teacher bridled. What do you mean special? What will it cost? The cost will be the same, the rabbi answered dryly, but the design and the kind of blessings will be different. When you're dealing with such a mystery, you've got to make another one, but it must be bigger. How would that work? Like two winds that they meet in the sky, a white and a blue. The blue says, not only I am blue, but inside I am also purple and orange. So the white goes away. If you work it up for the same price, that's up to you. Rabbi Lifshitz then drew down the two green window shades and shut the door, darkening the room. Sit, he said, in the heavy dark. I will show you the crown. I'm sitting. So sit where you are, but turn your head to the wall. Where is the mirror? But why so dark? You will see light. He heard the rabbi strike a match, and it flared momentarily, casting shadows of candles and chairs amid the empty chairs in the room. Look now in the mirror. I'm looking. What do you see? Nothing. Look with your eyes. A silver candelabrum, first with 3, then 5, then 7 burning, bony candlesticks appeared like ghostly hands with flaming fingertips in the oval mirror. The heat of it hit Albert in the face, and for a moment he was stunned. But, recalling the games of his childhood, he thought, who's kidding who? It's one of those illusion things I remember from when I was a kid. In that case, I'm getting the hell out of here. I can stand maybe mystery, but not magic tricks or dealing with a rabbinical magician. The candelabrum had vanished, although not its light, and he now saw the rabbi's sombre face in the glass, his gaze addressing him. Albert glanced quickly around to see if anyone was standing at his shoulder, but nobody was. Where the rabbi was hiding at the moment the teacher did not know, but in the lit glass appeared his old man's lined and shrunken face, his sad eyes, compelling, inquisitive, weary, perhaps even frightened, as though they had seen more than they had cared to, but were still looking. What's this? Slides or home movies? Albert sought some source of projection, but saw no ray of light from wall or ceiling, nor object or image that might be reflected by the mirror. The rabbi's eyes glowed like sun-filled clouds. A moon rose in the blue sky. The teacher dared not move, afraid to discover he was unable to. He then beheld a shining crown on the rabbi's head. It's interesting, there was a dancer in the club last night that had like a gold crown, gold coloured, looked like an actual crown on their head. Must have been their birthday or maybe a graduation or some kind. It was unusual, and I was wondering what the meaning of the crown actually was. But anyway, I was in my zone doing my thing, and they were dancing joyously in the crowd with their friends, and I just observed. I thought it was quite lovely. It had appeared at first like a braided mother-of-pearl turban, then had luminously become like an intricate star in the night sky, a silver crown constructed of bars, triangles, half-moons and crescents, spires, turrets, trees, points of spears, as though a wild storm had swept them up from the earth and flung them together in this vortex, twisted into a single glowing, interlocked sculpture, a forest of disparate objects. The sight in the ghostly mirror, a crown of rare beauty, very impressive, Albert thought, lasted no longer than 5 short seconds. Then the reflecting glass by degrees turned dark and empty. The shades were up. The single bulb in a frosted lily fixture on the ceiling shone harshly in the room. It was night. The old rabbi sat, exhausted, on the broken sofa. So you saw it? I saw something. You believe what you saw? The crown? I believe I saw. Anyway, I'll take it. The rabbi gazed at him blankly. I mean, I agreed to have the crown made, Albert said, having to clear his throat. Which size? Which size was the one I saw? Both sizes. This is the same design for both sizes, but there is more silver and also more blessings for the $986 size. But didn't you say that the design for my father's crown, because of the special nature of his illness, would have a different style, plus some special blessings? The rabbi nodded. This comes also in 2 sizes, the $401 and the $986. The teacher hesitated a split second. Make it the big one, he said decisively. He had his wallet in his hand and counted out 15 new bills, 9 100s, 4 20s, a 5 and a single, adding to $986. Putting on his glasses, the rabbi hastily counted the money, snapping with thumb and forefinger each crisp bill as though to be sure none had stuck together. He folded the stiff paper and thrust the wad into his pants pocket. Could I have a receipt? I would like to give you a receipt, said Rabbi Lifshitz earnestly, but for the crowns there are no receipts. Some things are not a business. If money is exchanged, why not? God will not allow. My father did not give receipts, and also my grandfather. How can I prove I paid you if something goes wrong? You have my word, nothing will go wrong. Yes, but suppose something unforeseen did, Albert insisted. Would you return the cash? Here is your cash, said the rabbi, handing the teacher the packet of folded bills. Never mind, said Albert hastily. Could you tell me when the crown will be ready? Tomorrow night, before Shabbos, the latest. Shabbos means Shabbat, the Sabbath. So soon? Your father is dying. That's right, but the crown looks like a pretty intricate piece of work to put together out of all those odd pieces. We will hurry. I wouldn't want you to rush the job in any way that would, let's say, prejudice the potency of the crown, or for that matter in any way impair the quality of it, as I saw it in the mirror, or however I saw it. Down came the rabbi's eyelid, quickly raised without a sign of self-consciousness. We're running out of time, people here. I wonder if I can finish this bloody story. I'm going to have to read faster. Jesus. Not Jesus, but you know what I mean. Mr. Gutz, all my crowns are first-class jobs. About this you've got nothing to worry about. They then shook hands. Albert, still assailed by doubts, stepped into the corridor. He felt he did not, in essence, trust the rabbi and suspected that Rabbi Lifshitz knew it and did not, in essence, trust him. Rivkila, panting like a cow for a bull, led him out the front door perfectly. In the subway, Albert figured he would call it an investment in experience and see what came of it. Education costs money, but how else can you get it? He pictured the crown as he had seen it established on the rabbi's head, and then seemed to remember that as he had stared at the man's shifty face in the mirror, the thickened lid of his right eye had slowly dropped into a full wink. Did he recall this in truth, or was he seeing in his mind's eye and transposing into the past something that had happened just before he left the house? What does he mean by this wink? Not only is he a fake, but he kids you? Uneasy once more, the teacher clearly remembered when he was staring into the rabbi's fish eyes in the glass, after which they had lit a visionary light, that he had fought a hunger to sleep. And the next thing is the sight of the old boy as though on the television screen, wearing this high-hat magic crown. Albert, rising, cried, "Hypnosis! The bastard magician hypnotized me. He never did produce a silver crown. It's out of my imagination. I've been suckered." He was outraged by the knavery, hypocrisy, fat nerve of Rabbi Joseph Lifshitz. The concept of a curative crown, if he had ever for a moment believed in it, crumbled in his brain, and all he could think of were 986 blackbirds flying in the sky as three curious passengers watched. Albert bolted out of the car at the next stop, rushed up the stairs, hurried across the street, then cooled his impatient heels for 22 minutes till the next train clattered into the station, and he rode back to the stop near the rabbi's house. Though he banged with both fists on the door, kicked at it, rang the useless bell until his thumb was blistered, the box-like wooden house, including dilapidated synagogue store, was dark, monumentally, starkly still, like a gigantic, slightly tilted tombstone on a vast graveyard, and in the end, unable to arouse a soul, the teacher, long past midnight, had to head home. He awoke next morning, cursing the rabbi and his own stupidity for having got involved with a faith healer. This is what happens when a man, even for a minute, surrenders his true beliefs. There are less punishing ways to help the dying. Albert considered calling the cops, but had no receipt and did not want to appear that much of a fool. He was tempted, for the first time in 6 years of teaching, to phone in sick then take a cab to the rabbi's house and demand the return of his cash. The thought agitated him. On the other hand, suppose Rabbi Lifshitz was seriously at work, assembling the crown with his helper, on which, let's say, after he'd bought the silver and paid the retired jeweler for his work, he made, let's say, $100 clear profit, not so very much, and there really was a silver crown, and the rabbi sincerely and religiously believed it would reverse the course of his father's illness. Although nervously disturbed by suspicions, Albert felt he had better not get the police into the act too soon, because the crown wasn't promised, didn't the old gent say, until before the Sabbath, which gave him till sunset tonight. If he produces the thing by then, I have no case against him, even if it's a piece of junk, so I'd better wait. But what a dope I was to order the $986 job instead of the $401 one. On that decision alone, I lost $585. After a distracted day's work, Albert taxied to the rabbi's house and tried to rouse him, even hallooing at the blank windows facing the street, but either nobody was home or they were both hiding, the rabbi under the broken sofa, Rivkilla trying to shove her bulk under a bathtub. Albert decided to wait them out. Soon the old boy would have to leave the house to step into the shul on Friday night. Ruth's page. He would speak to him, warn him to come clean. Dear Goddess, I'm not going to make this story. Oh, the pressure. Let me redact it. Oh, I can't. I'm too tired. But I'm not a redactor. But the sun set, dust settled on the earth, and though the autumn stars and a sliver of moon gleamed in the sky, the house was dark, shades drawn, and no Rabbi Lifshitz emerged. Lights had gone on in the little shul, candles were lit. It occurred to Albert with chagrin that the rabbi might be already worshipping. He might all this time have been in the synagogue. The teacher entered the long, brightly lit stall. On yellow folding chairs scattered around the room sat a dozen men holding warm prayer books, praying. The Rabbi A. Marcus, a middle-aged man with a high voice and a short reddish beard, was davening at the ark, his back to the congregation. I love to see a rabbi davening. It speaks to my soul. As Albert entered and embarrassedly searched from face to face, the congregants stared at him. In fact, I should freak out Rabbi Levi Jaffe by going early before my wild moshing dance on Friday night. Go early and go to shul on Friday night and spend the next few hours looking at the shops in the city and then go from there to the Brooklyn Standard, and by then it would be 9 o'clock when the shops close, and I'd be there early, and it'd be a very long night though. I'd probably get tired. But this reading this makes me nostalgic for going to shul again. Tanya, small violin. Dee 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 dee. Lichadodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat Nakabala. Penei Shabbat Nakabala. It's a Friday night prayer, by the way. I'm off my chops. I don't know what's happened to me. I moshed my neck too hard. I've got religious all of a sudden. Mama T, the heathen, got religious. That means there's a movement in the force, babies. I love you all. I know. You're Mashugana, Mama. Yes, Mama, the Mashugana. As Albert entered an embarrassedly, I'm not going to make the story, searched from face to face, the congregants stared at him. The old rabbi was not among them. Disappointed, the teacher withdrew. A man sitting by the door touched his sleeve. Stay a while and read with us. Excuse me, I'd like to, but I'm looking for a friend. Look, said the man. Maybe you'll find him. Albert waited across the street under a chestnut tree losing its leaves. He waited patiently, till tomorrow if he had to. Shortly after 9, the lights went out in the synagogue and the last of the worshippers left for home. The red-bearded rabbi then emerged with a key in his hand to lock the store door. "Excuse me, Rabbi," said Albert, approaching. "Are you acquainted with Rabbi Jonas Lifshitz, who lives upstairs with his daughter Rivkila, if she is his daughter?" "He used to come here," said the rabbi, with a small smile, "but since he retired he prefers a big synagogue on Mosholu Parkway, a palace. Will he be home soon, do you think?" "Maybe in an hour." "Shabbat, he must walk. Do you happen to know anything about his work on silver crowns?" "What kind of silver crowns?" "To assist the sick, the dying?" "No," said the rabbi, blocking the shul door, pocketing the key and hurrying away. Think he knew well. The teacher, eating his heart, waited under the chestnut tree till past midnight, all the while urging himself to give up and go home, but unable to unstick the glue of his frustration and rage. Then shortly before 1 a.m. he saw some shadows moving and 2 people drifting up the shadow-encrusted street. One was the old rabbi in a new kaftan and snappy black Homburg, walking tiredly. Rivkila in sexy yellow mini, exposing to above the big bone knees, her legs like poles, walked lightly behind him, stopping to strike her ears with her hands. A long white shawl, pulled short on the right shoulder, hung down to her left shoe. "On my income, their glad rags." Rivkila chanted a long "boo" and slapped both ears with her pudgy hands to keep from hearing it. They toiled up the ill-lit, narrow staircase, the teacher trailing them. "I came to see my crown," he told the pale, astonished rabbi in the front room. "The crown," the rabbi said haughtily, "is already finished. Go home and wait. Your father will soon get better." "I called the hospital before leaving my apartment. There's been no improvement." "How can you expect so soon improvement if the doctors themselves don't know what is the sickness? You must give the crown a little more time. God himself has trouble to understand human sickness. I came to see the thing I paid for. I showed you already. You saw before you ordered. That was an image of a facsimile maybe, or something of the sort. I insist on seeing the real thing, for which I paid close to 1,000 smackers." "Listen, Mr. Gunts," said the rabbi patiently. "There are some things we are allowed to see, which he lets us see them. Sometimes I wish he didn't let us. There are other things we are not allowed to see. Moses knew this, and one is God's face, and another is the real crown that he makes and blesses it. A miracle is a miracle. This is God's business." He's right about that, by the way. "Don't you see it?" "Not with my eyes." "I don't believe a word of it, you faker, 2-bit magician. The crown is a real crown. If you think there is magic, it is on account those people that they insist to see it. We try to give them an idea. For those who believe, there is no magic." "Rivkila," the rabbi said hurriedly, "bring to Papa my book of letters." She left the room after a while, a little in fright, her eyes evasive, and returned in 10 minutes after flushing the toilet in a shapeless long flannel nightgown, carrying a large yellowed notebook whose loose pages were thickly interleaved with old correspondence. "Testimonials," said the rabbi. Turning several loose pages with trembling hand, he extracted a letter and read it aloud, his voice husky with emotion. "Dear Rabbi Lifshitz, since the miraculous recovery of my mother, Mrs. Max Cohen, from her recent illness, my impulse is to cover your bare feet with kisses. Your crown worked wonders, and I am recommending it to all my friends. Yours truly and sincerely, Mrs. Esther Polotnik." This is a college teacher. He read another. "Dear Rabbi Lifshitz, your $986 crown totally and completely cured my father of cancer of the pancreas with serious complications of the lungs after nothing else had worked. Never before have I believed in miraculous occurrences, but from now on I will have less doubts. My thanks to you and God. Look, most sincerely, Daniel Schwartz. A lawyer, said the rabbi. He offered the book to Albert. Look yourself, Mr. Guntz. Hundreds of letters. Albert wouldn't touch it. There's only one thing I want to look at, Rabbi Lifshitz, and it's not a book of useless testimonials. I want to see my father's silver crown. This is impossible. I already explained to you why I can't do this. God's word is God's law. So if it's the law you're citing, either I see the crown in the next 5 minutes, or the first thing tomorrow morning I'm reporting you and your activities to the Bronx County District Attorney. Boo! Sang Rivkilla, banging her ears. Shut up, Albert said. Have respect, cried the rabbi. Grubbe Jung. I will swear out a complaint and the DA will shut you down, the whole freaking plant, if you don't at once return the $986 you swindled me out of. The rabbi wavered in his tracks. Is this the way you talk to a rabbi of God? A thief is a thief. Rivkilla blubbered, squealed. Tcha, the rabbi thickly whispered to Albert, clasping and unclasping his grey hands. You'll frighten the neighbours. Listen to me, Mr. Guntz. You saw with your eyes what it looks like, the real crown. I give you my word that nobody of my whole clientele ever saw this before. I showed you for your father's sake, so you would tell me to make the crown which will save him. Don't spoil now the miracle. Miracle, Albert bellowed. It's a freaking fake magic with an idiot girl for a come-on and hypnotic mirrors. I was mesmerized, suckered by you. Be kind, begged the rabbi, tottering as he wandered amid empty chairs. Be merciful to an old man. Think of my poor child. Think of your father who loves you. He hates me, the son of a bitch. I hope he croaks. In an explosion of silence, the girl slobbered in fright. Aha! Cried the wild-eyed rabbi, pointing a finger at God in heaven. Murderer! He cried, aghast. Moaning, father and daughter rushed into each other's arms as Albert, wearing a massive, spike-laden headache, rushed down the booming stairs. An hour later, the elder Guntz shut his eyes and expired. The end. We got there in the end, with all Mama T's weird, fucked up segues. But oh, the frisson, I'm shaking. Do you know why I'm shaking? I went through a similar experience, putting my jewellery in a shop and putting my faith that things would sell. They didn't sell. But do you know why they didn't sell? I lacked the faith and the trust. And the women in the shop didn't defraud me in any way. Don't get me wrong. I paid rent, to put my stuff there, and they were good women and they were kind. But at the end of the 6 weeks of it not selling, they critiqued me on everything that I was doing wrong and told me I was doomed to fail. So there kind of was that. But the cosmic ass kick was the cosmic ass kick, and the cosmic joke was a test of my faith and trust in putting valuable well valuable to me because it's all sterling silver that I've sourced and made and transmuted into a shop of people I didn't know from Adam, and having to put that trust in strangers, and I ate my own liver over it actually. And anyway, at the end of the 6 weeks when nothing sold, I got them back, and I grieved. I grieved quite horribly about my failure yet again. So you see, for me, money is like this story, kind of a distrust and a taintedness and a dishonour often. People stealing from me or slandering me or cheating me, including my own mother and father in effect, and stepfather. Oh, how they debased and robbed me. But and I was about to say earlier on the story, the father that was dying, and they couldn't find the source of his illness. I didn't say it, but I'll say it now. He was dying of a broken heart, of not being loved by his own progeny. I know that feeling well. It's actually amazing I haven't fucking died. But the reason why I haven't died is my defiance and my own personal magic. And although the gods deny me wealth and prosperity and robbed me of houses and businesses and yada and land, and on it goes and on it goes. What the God and all manifestations took away, he gifted back my spirituality, my magic and my power, which no wise man, woman or child dares fuck with, because I paid the price, not just fiscally, but with my health, my mental health, my physical health, with relationships. I paid and I paid and I paid over and over and over again, and I died over and over and over in this same incarnation, in this hobbit body. But I was promised that my true love would come to me in my 60th year, and of that I have perfect faith. They sent me a few soul-ridden books and fops and fakes from the past, and my obsessed, weird-ass gay friend who's clearly fucking psychotic and now writes dirty messages to me on my YouTube. Dear goddess! These are all infestations of fakery and putrescence that do not belong to me, people of earth, because I'm manifesting with perfect faith in the gods my true love, my better health, which you're seeing it, the evidence, and perhaps one day my prosperity too, at the appointed time when the gods allow it. So on that note, to my beloved true loves, oh, that was a lovely piece, Charlie. To my beloved true loves out there in the world somewhere, you know who you are. Good men and good women with honour and courage and corazon and integrity that honour me. Thank you for being you, and thank you for honouring me and my weird, quirky, verklempt, shamanic ways. Together, we are powerful beyond measure. Remember that. More powerful than you could ever dreamed in your ordinary mortal imaginations. So, don't give up. Have faith. And be blessed. Bye for now, people of Earth. Have a beautiful day wherever you are. in the space-time continuum. Take good care.